So I'll give a very quick introduction to you both. Simon is responsible for managing corporate relationships across Europe, Middle East, and Canada, as well as leading Coca-Cola's digital and e-commerce responsibilities across all markets. And Bill leads the integrated team bringing supply chain solution to Walmart and Sam's Clubs in select international markets. So welcome both to the show today, and we look forward to hearing from you about how to adapt to the changing CPG e-commerce landscape of the future. So over to you both.
Great, thanks Sarah, really appreciate it. And as Bill said, thanks for the opportunity to spend some time with you again. We always enjoy this event. So my name's Simon Miles. I'm the Global Customer Director on the Walmart International business at Coca-Cola.
And I'm Bill Wilson. I'm the
in present mode, so we need to change the mode of the presentation. Full screen.
Let me do that again. Thank you. Thought I got the right one, but obviously I didn't.
Perfect.
Great. So Simon, you had mentioned that you're the, why don't you start and tell us again who you are?
Yeah, so I'm the Global Customer Director on the Walmart International business at Coca-Cola.
And I'm the Global Supply Chain Director on the Walmart International business at Coca-Cola. And one of the things you need to know about Simon is that whenever he's gone to see any Toronto team play, and I know not everyone's a Toronto fan, but he has yet to be in the stands when a Toronto team is playing and see them lose. So he is the lucky charm for all Toronto teams. So you could trust him, I promise.
That is true. Thank you, Bill. That is actually true. I must have seen them 15 to 20 times and I've yet to see them lose. So hey, there you go.
Doesn't matter whether it's the Blue Jays or Maple Leafs or the Toronto FC, you've seen them all win. So.
Exactly. So we just want to set this up with a short video just to kind of give us a flavour of the year that we've all been living through so far this year. So Bill?
Yep.
one of the things, Bill, when we always show that video, that strikes me is how complicated life has become. You know, you can imagine a year ago, you know, the year that we've had, and you sort of transfer that into the business world too, right? That's become hugely complex. And, you know, you and I were talking the other day, and we figured out there's probably 3,200 possible combinations for consumers in terms of logistics complexity when you add up all the ways that people can order, they can fulfill, they can deliver, and they can receive. You know, just such a lot of complexity that's really been accelerated by COVID. And in some ways, you could argue COVID hasn't really changed very much, but it's accelerated everything. So a lot of the trends that we saw were really in evidence before the sort of COVID period hit, but it's been vastly accelerated in the last few months. And, you know, you can look at any number of different sort of sales charts. This is a kind of global e-commerce chart, and you see the big spike sort of in April and May time. And although it's softened a bit since then, you know, it's not going back to the way it was before. And it's been driven by some, you know, changed consumer behaviours. And, you know, I'm speaking at the moment, I live in the UK, and we're in a 4-week lockdown again at the moment. So lockdown sort of 2.0. And we're starting to see this kind of stuff at our local supermarkets again. So people are packing up the trunk of the car with, you know, with beverages and with toilet paper and all those kind of products. And it's putting huge strain on the supply chain to keep the availability where it needs to be. And not just in the store environment, but if you think about what that means online, that means more substitutions. And I'm choosing my words carefully there for obvious reasons. And this might be an exaggerated example, but I guess we're all familiar with, you know, this kind of situation when availability is poor online, and then substitutions are the result of that. And so, you know, focusing on availability is so important, right, Bill?
Exactly right. And availability, in my mind, is the key, Simon. You know, you mentioned about the COVID didn't change anything, but accelerated everything. And I just think about during that period, how the orders were increased exponentially, and what a strain that put on our logistics and our production facilities, and really made us think about what products we're bringing to market. And it really also challenges us, as you mentioned, UK's heading into their next lockdown. What's going to happen next? How are we going to be better prepared? So that's what we talk about in our commercial S&OP meetings on a regular basis. But the reason why I have this slide up here is it reminds me about how intelligent our retailers are getting with artificial intelligence and machine learning. They are really leveraging the data that they have that comes across their tills, across their registers, and they're making very good use of it. Specifically with Walmart, you and I have direct experience with them. And I got to tell you, Simon, they've gotten very good at forecast accuracy. And so what that means to me and to you is that I've got to really get good at trusting this forecast and making sure that I get the right products down the proper node in the supply chain so I can supply my customer when they need it. Because not all the times are the packages going to be the same. One size does not fit all. And so what that keeps me up at night thinking about is, where is my inventory? Is the right product in the right place at the right time? Because, you know, Simon, ultimately it's really critical that I get the product into the right place in this digital world. So whether it's on the physical shelf or the digital shelf, I've got to get it there. That's what's really important. Yeah,
exactly right. And there's so many sort of, you know, new technologies and tools that are becoming available. But, you know, for me, I think that gives me hope. You know, that gives me confidence about the future, that, you know, we're finding the right tools and techniques to get that visibility you're talking about. But, you know, the other part of it, I think, is, you know, you put the technology to one side for a minute. You know, consumer behaviors are driving some of the issues that we're seeing in the e-commerce space. And if you like, consumer impatience is becoming the thing, right? So, you know, they want everything now. And, you know, it wasn't that long ago, right? You and I would have done a grocery delivery and expected to wait maybe 4 or 5 days. And then we weren't prepared to wait more than 2 days. And then it's got to be here tomorrow. And now, you know, people are actually making the choice of where they're going to shop based on how quickly the thing can get delivered. And so, you know, that's really starting to put even more pressure on it. And, you know, some companies are starting to look at if they can understand the consumer behavior that's leading to the purchase and then work that backwards and identify when some other consumers are also going down the same sales funnel, then how do they start to move the stock in advance of that? So really complicated stuff, right?
Yeah, you're right about that. And it's complicated, but what's amazing about this slide, Simon, is that the patent that's listed here wasn't created a year ago or a few years ago, but in the early 2000s by 4 gentlemen at Amazon, and they've only refined this process. You know, the ability to take the browser data, the shopper data, and then map it up, match it with your supply chain is a game changer. I think there's still room to grow there, but there's certainly making a big impact on the way that we are servicing the shoppers today, especially in the current situation. And you mentioned the complexities and the different possibilities in this new world. Right here are the 8 different types of delivery or pickup, if you will. It's changing. It doesn't matter where you are, whether you're rural or urban, or whether you're in the UK or in Canada or in the US. We see a little bit of this everywhere. And what's really, really important for us to take away from this, Simon, and I know you're going to mention this, is the cost that's driving into the retailer, because this is not your old way of doing business. Put it on the shelf and they come to you. This is the shopper telling you, I want it now, I want it in this particular way. So it's changing the cost structure too.
Exactly right, Bill. And there's been a few studies on this, and there's a good example here, which was a piece of work done by Bain last year, where they looked at all the different kind of fulfillment methods, whether that's home delivery or click and collect or pickup, as it's known in some markets. And they took a look at the different solutions there and said, well, what is the impact on the retailer margin of that particular fulfillment model? And so what you're looking at here, the pink bars show you the impact on the retailer's margin. And what you notice is they're pretty much all of them bad news as far as the retailer is concerned. The red dots are the same calculation, but that's when they've also been able to charge some kind of delivery fee. So that makes a difference. But again, you notice, particularly in the delivery model, it still doesn't shift it into positive territory, hardly ever. And so you're right, there's huge costs going in as this part of the business grows. But when you scan down there and you look at all the different types of fulfillment methods that are possible, the sort of least worst option, if you like, is the micro fulfillment center option, which increasingly we're seeing evidence of trials and pilots and launches and stuff in various different places. Now, if you're not sure what the micro fulfillment center looks like, we've got a short video here from one of the suppliers in this space just to demonstrate what we're talking about.
Fascinating stuff. I think that micro fulfillment video shows you how they're trying to solve that cost problem. Obviously, it's getting spread around, the idea of this, as we start trying to figure out how to pick and pack. But what points out to me is just how supply chain is becoming so much, how important it's becoming, and how it's becoming a disruptor, a part of this disruptor economy we talk about. There are companies on here that I've spoken to, worked with, heard their position or presentations, and it really comes down to the fact that cost in the supply chain is a big driver for why retailers and suppliers are trying to solve this, and also the complexity you mentioned. And the biggest part of this whole group, Simon, is the last mile of the supply chain cost. The last mile is the largest. In fact, it is 53% of the total supply chain cost for the retailer to deliver to these goods to the shopper. And I have Herbie up here because I like Herbie, but also I think it does a really good job of making you remember it, the number 53. And so 53% of the cost in the last mile is a big number for our retailers to try to jump over as far as a hurdle goes.
Yeah, that's right. And who doesn't love Herbie the Love Bug, right?
Right.
But basically what we've talked about are two things that the retailers like the least in terms of things in their business. One's complexity and the other one has been cost. And I think both of those areas are being exaggerated through the growth of e-commerce, and particularly that chase for that consumer impatience and solving that issue. And you see here some of the solutions that are being piloted and rolled out and trialed in many places, which is why you see things like autonomous vehicles and droids and even drones are being seriously trialed now, rather than just kind of a nice sort of PR stunt. So there's a quick video here of Walmart's latest pilot that they're running in the US around drones, and there's no sound on this video, so don't think you've gone deaf.
Right. You know, and the fact that automation is just showing up so big, we've heard it in our industry for quite a while, but the other big thing about this that makes me really stay up at night, Simon, is the packaging. I just don't see one of our large packs being delivered by a drone. I could see pharmaceuticals, I mean, perhaps some smaller packages like spices or something, but I don't see any of our products being delivered in that that aren't, you know, small enough to fit in that bag right there. So that's one of the things that I would say that you and I have talked about a lot. How efficient are our products in the supply chain, specifically around this last mile, whether it's delivered on the back of a bicycle or a motorcycle in Asia, or being picked up at one of these kiosks in an urban center. You know, what package do we have? And then that started us talking with our innovation partners around packaging. Certainly if an Asda van is going to make a delivery and drop a 32 pack off at your doorstep, or a big box of dog food, or a heavy container of detergent, it makes a lot of sense. Not for a drone though. Maybe one of these small mini packs or a 2-liter makes sense, but it is making you and I think about how we supply and service our customers and ultimately the shopper, Simon.
Yeah, exactly right, Bill. And so, you know, we've thrown a lot of different thoughts and ideas on you. So just to sort of pull this together, Bill and I think there's kind of 3 key takeaways really from what we've talked about. One is really thinking about whether you understand where the complexity and the cost lies for you and your business and your retail partners, because that's, you know, that's really exercising a lot of time, I think, a lot of people. And then I think the second one is what Bill was talking about, visibility end to end. I think it's never been more important to be able to see that from, you know, right through from the early stages of production, right through to logistics and last mile delivery, the kind of thing we were just talking about, and make sure that we're absolutely open and transparent around that. And then the third one, which is more of an enabler really, I think, or a success factor, if you like, which enables some of the other things we've talked about, is we think one of the key success factors is the ability in your business to remove the silos that probably exist between your commercial teams and your supply chain teams. And, you know, perfect example is just the sort of thing Bill was talking about on the previous slide. You know, what you don't want is, you know, the supply chain guys working with the customer for a drone delivery solution, and the commercial team at the same time selling in those large bulky packs, because the two things clearly do not go together. So, you know, we've got to be smarter than that. We've got to join them up. So, you know, we have to develop a much more networked way of working, I think, in the future. So that's it from us. Thank you very much indeed for a bit of time, and we'd love to hand it back to Sarah for a few questions.
Thank you. That was really exciting to see all the new tech and innovations. And, you know, especially as you're saying, it works for some brands and some categories really well, and maybe not so well in others. So I think it's something for everyone really to consider now, with so many opportunities, what is the best fit. And yeah, interesting to see, you know, both perspectives on the commercial side, supply chain side. So one of my questions to you both would be more about internally, how the different departments, different teams, how you work together, how you coordinate. You know, do you have forums? Do you have your annual events? How does it all work to make sure that you know, everyone's collaborating well?
Bill, do you want to say that one first?
Yeah, sure. I think that as you're closer to the customer, to the actual transaction, that it gets more tactical in the planning and the collaboration. So when I was on the US team, we were very close on a day-to-day basis, certainly on a weekly basis, reviewing forecasts and demand plans and looking out at our promotional calendars and so forth. And then working with our delivery system, in our case, bottlers, to make sure that we have the products in the right place. On the international side, I've seen our teams really lean in, but more with this more recent change in with the coronavirus and pushing us in this pandemic, we've really seen our teams get closer to our customer and trying to set up these best practices workshops, as well as having some of these summits with our customer on a more frequent basis. And I cannot turn it over to Simon yet until I say something about 30, 60, 90-day planning. It's paramount in the supply chain for you to have that in order to be successful.
Yeah, it's Bill's favorite, 30, 60, 90 plans. The only thing I would add to that is, Bill and I are sort of joined at the hip really in many ways now from a meeting perspective. You know, when we're meeting with local markets, you know, we're doing those things together. We're doing those with the customer together, as he says. There's forums and different kind of things where we get, you know, the commercial and the supply chain people in the same room a lot. And Sarah, you mentioned it's like an annual meeting, and we do that actually with all of our teams globally who work on the Walmart international business. We get them together, clearly not physically this year, but did it like this virtually. But again, all in the same room so that everybody's hearing and there's one version of the truth. That's really the secret to it. It's just openness and transparency.
That sounds great. Yeah, I think everyone can learn more about how we can collaborate together, you know, both from retailer and brand perspectives, but also internally how important it is for everybody to be aligned on this huge digital transformation that we're going through, especially this year in particular. And another question then kind of following on from that is really looking at omnichannel. That seems to be one of the biggest takeaways, I think, of today's event, is that, you know, it's all as well about marrying in-store with digital. So what are your thoughts now on looking maybe, you know, just the next couple of years, how that's going to come together?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an absolute no-brainer. You've got to be in that space, otherwise you're not going to win, frankly. So you know, we've been planning probably more of our bigger events that we run from a marketing perspective in an omnichannel way for a few years now. But you know, it's absolutely running through everything in terms of the planning for the next couple of years. And I think, you know, we will see more transactional marketing media going into play, and I think that's one of the ways that it starts to get drawn together. So if you look at probably some of the ways they do it in China best. In terms of things like social commerce and those kind of things, I think you know, you're starting to see that spread out in a slightly different way. But you know, retailers are media channels are retailers now. You know, it's all getting so joined up, and we're looking at it from a holistic point of view. So not just, if you think about internal silos of where budgets sit, often that's the biggest challenge you've got internally. And actually, we've broken down a lot of those. So you know, we're pulling together, you know, what would traditionally be perhaps brand monies, trade monies, you know, account monies, shop marketing budgets, all of that stuff is now getting put into one, and we're planning it collectively together to make sure that that sort of omnichannel experience goes to the consumer at the end of the day.
I don't think I would add is that I think that to our point in our presentation that you're going to see more and more automation leveraged in our omnichannel world because of the exact same thing. What Simon said, the complexity and the cost is driving them to make very quick decisions. If you're watching what Walmart announced last week, they moved to a simpler solution on trying to get on-shelf availability. It's just, it's going to be a very exciting time over the next 3 years to watch what happens in retail with omnichannel automation and how we're going to be able to work with them.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that great insights from you both. Yeah, so thank you both very much for taking the time to join us today. It's been really great to hear from you. Anyone that has any further questions or would like to connect with either Bill or Simon, you can do so on the Swapcard platform. It will still be open for the next few days. So thank you once again. I hope you both stay well and stay safe also.
Our pleasure. Thanks so much, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah.